we're going to be going over 5 must-have apps when you come to Thailand in 2021. It's actually quite a nice day out today. It's not too hot, which is nice. The time is approaching about 3 p.m. Oh, and we've got a few Fords in the park. Look at this. God damn. It's a pretty big Ford. Looks like we won't be walking in that direction. All right, let's sit under here. We've got some cover. Before we start this video off, I must preface it by saying these are, in my opinion, my top 5 apps. Now, I think they will vary depending on the circumstance, the location, how close you are to public transportation, whether you've got access to a car, etc. All these factors will determine how frequently and how often you will use different apps. So your traditional taxi apps such as your Uber don't actually operate here in Thailand because the government actually deemed the way they license their drivers and cars was illegal. So an alternative is something what's called Grab, and it's the first app we're going to be talking about in this video. So Grab is a taxi app, but not only is it a taxi app, it's also a food delivery app. So it's basically 2 in 1. Additionally, with the taxi service, you can either choose between a car taxi or a motorbike taxi, and they'll come pick you up from where you've got your GPS location set to. Now, you could order yourself a traditional taxi. However, there are issues with ordering traditional taxis because some of them tend to scam tourists. And the way they scam tourists is by not using the meter in the taxi. They'll give you excuses such as, oh, it's not working, it's got problems, or we don't use this any longer. And that's where they can charge you quite a hefty price. So my best advice is, if you don't want any arguments with taxi drivers, avoid the problem at all costs. Just use Grab Taxi. It's really simple. Just download it from the App Store and you don't have to deal with the theft. So let's now talk about the food delivery option on the Grab app. There is a huge list of restaurants ranging from like Western food to Thai food to Japanese. Everything you possibly want is pretty much on Grab. Grab is going to be a little bit more expensive than if you were to go and order the food from the store. Oh, talking about Grab, there's a Grab taxi just there. But you're paying for convenience at the end of the day. So if you've got stores next to you and you can just pop downstairs and grab some food, I would do that. There'd be no point of ordering Grab Taxi. But if you live in places where it's a little bit more remote from any restaurants, etc., such as where I have to drive for the like next 10 minutes to be able to get to the nearest McDonald's or the nearest Japanese or Thai restaurant, then yeah, I'm just going to order Grab. It probably works out cheaper to actually order than to drive there and pay the cost of fuel. So yeah, that's app number 1. Moving on to app number 2 on the list. Oh, is this another Grab bike? No, this is a motorbike taxi, look. Sawadee krab. So actually, while I explain the second app on the list, I actually want to do a bit of exercise. I've never actually used this park in the communal area. Oh, not too bad. I just hope any spiders don't like jump on me. So app number 2 on my list would have to be the Line app. The Line app is basically your equivalent WhatsApp app. And if you've been to Japan, this is a very, very popular app. It's what they use in Japan quite frequently. And it's what they use here in Thailand too. Everybody uses Line app. But yeah, like if you want to communicate with anyone, if you want to call anyone, it's free. All you got to do is have an internet service. And yeah, you can call and message right away. I mean, I don't use it that often. I still use WhatsApp because I don't really communicate with too many people here in Thailand. And everybody that I do communicate with uses WhatsApp too. So it's not an app that I use on a frequent basis, but I think if you've got a lot of friends in Thailand, especially Thai people, then Line is the way to go forwards. Also, you've got a very convenient feature where you can like scan QR codes and like add people through the app, which is pretty awesome. I think that would be app number 2 on the top 5 apps you should have in Thailand. For me, I don't use it that much, but I think a lot of people would if they come to Thailand, especially like if you stay at a hotel. I think they'll have like a line ID in which you can communicate with like staff, etc., or like room service, whatever, to basically you know, whatever you need at a hotel. So the third app, in my opinion, in which both me and my girlfriend have used quite frequently, is the 7-Eleven app. If you saw my previous 7-Eleven video, you would know that I explained that they have a delivery service, and there are a lot of 7-Elevens in Thailand. I think there's over like 10,000 or 20,000 stores in Thailand alone. But if you download that app, you have that additional convenience, being able to pretty much order anything you want from a 7-Eleven. And also, their delivery charge or service is actually free, so you don't have to pay for delivery, and the cost of the items isn't any more expensive. I've ordered a bunch of stuff from 7-Eleven, whether it be chocolates, whether it be food, whether it be like a poncho, whether it be hand wash items, toothpaste. Yeah, you can pretty much get anything you want from a 7-Eleven here in Thailand. Is there anything else more to say about a 7-Eleven app? No, just available on iOS and Android. All of these apps are available on both platforms. So before we move on to the last two apps, I'm gonna say that I'm not gonna include any sort of dating apps on this list, because it's pretty obvious the type of dating apps you can use, you know, Tinder, Bumble, etc., whatever. So I'm not gonna include that on my list. I'm gonna try and include apps that are not bait and that you don't know about, because they're not available elsewhere. Which brings me actually onto the next application, which is called Lala Move. Lala Move. I think you can actually also use Grab Taxi too for this type of service, but Lala Move is more of an official application. And Lala Move basically specializes in delivering items. So let's say you've forgotten your keys or you're in need of something, you can use the application Lala Move. Is that Lala Move? No, it's not. You can use the application Lala Move to basically like send important documents, send keys, send valuables, send all sorts of things. And it has come in handy a couple times when I forgot to give like the keys to the car back to my girlfriend, or vice versa, when I've needed certain documents. Yeah, it's very convenient. Is that application number 4? I think that is application number 4. I wasn't actually going to include Lala Move. That was literally off the top of my head because I think I saw Lala Move drive by. Anyway, I'm just going to give you all the apps that I think you're definitely going to need when you come to Thailand. Now, the next one we're going to move on to is a public transportation app. It's called Via Bus. I've never used Via Bus because basically there's no public transportation close to where I live. So I always have to rely on a car or a motorbike to go anywhere in Thailand. But if you live in Bangkok or in congested areas where there's a lot of public transportation available, I think this app will come in handy. And basically what this app does, it gives you information just like Google Maps everywhere else in the world. I don't know if this has been now kind of like made obsolete from Google Maps, but I've not had much experience, but I think maybe you should download it just to give it a try. But basically they give you times on like bus times, MRT times, BTS times, riverboat times, etc. Basically any public transportation in Thailand, I think this app has it down. But I think if you're going to be traveling around Thailand using a train or a coach service, then this app might come in handy. And you know what, I'm planning to actually go to Chiang Mai on a train, but I've yet to find the time to do that. So when that time comes around, I'll possibly give a full review of that app Via Bus. So I think that was actually the 5th app. I've got one more on my list, and it's a bait one. Everybody knows about this one, but maybe not everyone has it on their phones, and that's Google Translate. Yes, I know it's an obvious one, but it's one of those apps where actually it comes in handy quite a few times. And if you don't have it on your phone, or you've got problems with your data, or whether you've reached your certain download limit, I think it is quite a big application. So definitely have Google Translate on your phone at all times, because there have been a number of instances, not so much with the local people, but like I've had instances, for example, like about 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago or a month ago? It might be about a month ago now. I actually got stopped by police while I was driving here in Thailand because I had the incorrect vehicle taxation expiry date displayed on the windshield. And so the police officer couldn't actually communicate in English whatsoever. And so what we ended up doing was using Google Translate to communicate. And it was actually pretty decent. It's not even like we used the speaker. We were just like reading each other's phones, etc., and actually understanding and communicating through that. which actually saved us a lot of time. So yeah, Google Translate is going to come in handy so much, whether it's you being stopped by police or whether it's you communicating with like local Thais or food stalls. Yeah, Google Translate is a lifesaver. Like, imagine what people used to do without like Google Translate. They'd have to do like hand signs and try and like bust out like a few words here and there that they know. I mean, I still do that. I rarely actually have to go to Google Translate to, you know, communicate with Thai people here. I can usually kind of like BS my way through it and come to some sort of mutual understanding, but yeah, it's just really convenient to have. Now, I didn't mention apps such as like Airbnb or hotel apps. By the way, Airbnb in Thailand is actually illegal. Like, it's against the law for Thai people to put their properties on Airbnb because it's not been approved by the government, but people still do it for short-term leasing, especially when it comes to like tourists or foreigners trying to find or secure accommodation here in Thailand. So if you're looking for like a short-term rental or a place to stay for the next couple months, you can find things on Airbnb, but that's obvious. Everybody knows what Airbnb is, and it's still kind of like operational here, but it's underground. It's not supposed to be operational, but it is. There are actually alternatives to the Grab app. The two that come into mind are Food Panda and Line Man. They're like your equivalent of Grab, but I don't think they have taxi services. That's just food delivery services. I think I've pretty much covered all of them. I didn't mention any banks because depending on what bank account you open up here in Thailand will determine which application you download. But yeah, there's a lot of online banking apps. So whether you use SEB, Kasikorn Bank, K-Bank, etc., you'll download respective app for the particular bank in which you've set up an account with. So in summary, that was my top 6 apps in which you should download when you come to Thailand here in 2021. And yeah, I don't think I've actually forgotten any, but if I have, let me know in the comments. And if you found this video informative, like the video, share the video with friends and family or people that are planning to come to Thailand, and I will see you in the next video. Many thanks for watching. Until then, take care, and I'm out.